It was early in the morning when Mother woke me up. She looked frantic and scared, and I was immediately worried. We'd heard stories before about the Juden, sending us Jewish folk away, but we had never paid much attention, and we dispelled them as just rumors and stories. And so right now, there are stories of the Juden life, that we aren't being sent away temporarily like they promised, that we're being sent away for good. There are stories of ovens and fire and guns, death. But we were naive and foolish and didn't believe them. That is, until they thrust themselves into our very laps. We lived in a nice, primarily Jewish neighborhood, and we were very good friends with all of our neighbors. Especially my best friend, Eli Wiesel. They were nice people, but just a little bit too trusting. The Jews invaded our neighborhood and forced us to live in a cramped urban ghetto. We were given itchy clothes, little to no food and water, and nothing at all to do. At least, that's what Eli told me. I was lucky enough to not have to live in one of those ghettos, because my family was smart enough to run. Mother has always gotten up early, even when she doesn't need to. She says she enjoys watching the sunrise. Mother saw the Juden begin to set up the ghetto, and she immediately woke up my father. Father called for friends in Hamburg that would be able to get us to safety. We could only bring one bag of clothes, and we had to dress warmly. We snuck out the back door at about 7 a.m. and set out to Hamburg. It was a very long walk, and we had to take back roads and cut through woodlands to keep from being seen. We finally got to Hamburg at about 9 p.m. and met my father's friends, the Franks. The Franks were able to organize a boat ride to Denmark, to freedom, and they were willing to take us with them. While we were waiting for the boat to arrive, we were all huddled together in a cramped attic above a shop. It was hot, smelly, and we could barely speak during business hours, for fear of being heard. Looking back now, that's bliss. My only form of entertainment, aside from my own thoughts, was simply watching the Frank's daughter, Anne. She was smart and dedicated to her diary. She'd write in it virtually every second of every day. She would tell me why she kept the diary. She wanted to document how poorly we were treated, and she hoped that her words would one day shed light on our situation. I told her she was wasting her time. Obviously, no one cared about us, not even our own government. After about 3 weeks by my father's count, we were found. The door to the attic flew open with the force of an explosion. We were immediately surrounded, captured, and detained by what I was later told by my mother, called Nazis. The Nazis threw my family and the Franks into separate trucks and drove off. We were in the truck for about 3 hours, and we were steadily picking up more and more people like me. The truck got so full that I had to sit on my mother's lap to keep from being squashed to death. Looking out the window of the truck, I saw a small sign with one word on it: Auschwitz. When we walked into the brick fortress of death and pain, we were all immediately stripped of our clothes. The Nazis separated the women and men and tattooed a number on the back of our necks. From that point on, our lives were a living hell. We were all woken up at 4 a.m. and forced to do manual labor and exercise. We were barely fed, and all we were given to wear were old, dirty rags. We were starving, sick, and on the brink of death. Oftentimes I would lay awake at night and simply listen. Listen to the muffled sobs, barely choked out prayers, and this one constant resounding question: why? It was very common for the inmates to have nightmares, and even more common for the Nazis to come and beat those that did have nightmares. The screams of agony still bounce around in my head at night. These law-abiding, tax-paying citizens reduced to nothing more than a punching bag and a scapegoat. One damn night, I watched helplessly as my father had a nightmare. I watched him thrash and kick the blankets away, and I heard him screaming, "God, why did you do this to us?" My father had tears running down his face. So did I. My father was screaming so loudly that the Nazis actually came and took him away. The last time I ever saw my God-loving father was him being carried, kicking and screaming, out of the room with tears streaming down his face, saying over and over again, "I hate you. You failed me. You failed all of us. I hate you." That night, I made a promise to myself. I'm getting out of here. I will beat these Nazis. I promised myself that soon I would taste freedom again.